Good day, everyone. Thank you so much for returning to the Speakers Bureau, St. Lucie County Public Schools Speakers Bureau. We've been doing this for a long time now. I'm Donna Mills, Dr. Donna Mills. I'm one of the school board members here in St. Lucie County, and I've had the privilege to have such a program that enriches my life. And, you know, it's all about inspiring, encouraging, and motivating all of us. And that's what this program is about. And we do it through life stories. People come to tell their story. And so they're very successful today in what they do here in St. Lucie County. And very seldom do we have someone out the county that we ask to come, because we want you to see the people who live right among you and how the things they did in life to bring success to them, because we want to bring success to you. So enjoy, sit back and enjoy. We have a very special guest today. It is Commissioner Arnold Gaines. Those of you in Fort Pierce, you know exactly who I'm talking about. But if you live outside, you may not know this man. But his dad led the way in such a great way that his son is now leading the way in such a great way. So his dad is Dr. Sam Gaines, but our visitor here today on the Speakers Bureau is Commissioner Arnold Gaines. Welcome to the Speakers Bureau.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for coming. It is our honor to have you here today.
No, my honor for being invited.
Thank you. So, Commissioner, I usually start out asking about someone's life story, but I want you to start out telling us what you do today and why.
Okay. A lot of people still don't understand that, yes, you introduced me as a commissioner, but I am a practicing attorney in this area, and I've been doing so since 2002. Was fortunate to work for one of the biggest law firms in the country, Mr. Gary, down in Stewart, and Mr. Williams. They brought me in, when I was in law school, and trained me to how to run a law firm, how to take care of clients. Stayed with them for about 12 years, and I said, Mr. G, I want to see if I can sit in the big seat. So I branched out in 2012, 2013, opened up my own firm, and been.
I didn't know you opened up your own firm.
Own firm, and been with my own firm now. Opened up, and then a young lady that we used to work with together at the Gary firm, she was looking out, and she called me one day and said, I just want to change. Can I come work for you? And I said, you've been doing this as long as I can. You can come be my partner, and we can go out here and make this thing work. So that's where the Gaines and Nolan comes in from.
Oh, great. Wow, I learned something new today. So now, it seems like I remember years and years ago that you had changed your profession. Wasn't you did you get your medical degree?
Right.
Tell us about that.
Well, what happened was I went to, my dad loves research, and that's all I heard him talk about growing up was research. And if you hear his story, he had to switch to take over the family business. So when I went to school, Howard University, I majored in biology, and I wanted to do research. And I did research for a little while. So I have all the background on the medical side. And I was working for a lab, and I was doing all the work, but the PhD over the lab was getting all the credit. And it was up to him to put my name down if he wanted to. So I was like, wait a minute, I'm not just gonna keep working and you getting all this credit. So I went and talked to a professor at school at Barry University, and he was like, hey, you know something, with you, the way you talk, the way you handle people, the way you care about stuff, you ever think about being an attorney? I said, you got the research skills, it's the same thing, reading and what you do in attorney. So he said, tell you what, go take the LSAT and see how you score and go. And I took the LSAT, scored very well, started applying to law schools, and started getting acceptances, and opened up the letter from University of Miami, and they said, based on your academic record from Howard, what you've done so far since you've been out of Howard. If you chose University of Miami, not only will we give you a full ride, we'll pay you a stipend if you decide to work back in Florida. I said, I'm not leaving Florida, so where do I sign? So that's how it happened.
Wow, great. You mentioned Howard University. My son-in-law and daughter met at Howard University, and both are graduates from there.
I'm very aware of that story, and let both of them know that we got another Bison from Fort Pierce. My second daughter she finished in December.
Oh wow!
So we're going back up in May, because you know Howard only has the one graduation, so everybody's going back up in May to see her march. So we got another Bison in Fort Pierce.
Wow! I tell you, Fort Pierce is really doing it, right? So tell us about your life growing up, what it was like, what was the environment like at that time? I mean, you've accomplished so much now. I do want to hear about why you decided to run for commissioner as well.
Okay.
But just put that all in. But definitely, what was it like growing up? I know you have great parents, which is such a blessing, because so many do not have that in our community. But I know you had challenges.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of times, young people, when they have these great parents, they rebel.
Correct.
And it can really go downhill. Okay. So talk to us a little bit.
All right. Well, if you know my dad, I'm the child that put all the gray in his hair. So I'm that child.
Okay.
And like you said, you know, with a dad on the school board, mom in the school, you know, you're going to school. I can't believe you acting like this, you know, in my class, you know. And so I got used to it. And then I had an older brother who was Beta Club this, senior class president this, just, you know, like I ain't trying to be like him. But growing up, I was rebellious.
So how did you get in trouble in school? What did you do?
I was a talker. I was a jokester. I wasn't disrespectful, because you know I didn't grow up that way, but you know, talker or you know, slick mouth, what they say, you know, say something to me, I say something on my breath back then. And, you know, back then teachers had very good hearing, so they could hear everything. But I didn't skip or cause problems like that, because you know, I tell everybody this story. You guys know Dr. Gaines. I know Samuel Gaines. That was a different person at 1505. So you know, I can only go so far. But growing up, I was just a kid that didn't have any boundaries, so to speak. If you lived in what we call good part of town, bad part of town, whatever, I was friends with everybody. So you know, I was just friends with everybody, and I don't think I ever had an enemy growing up, because I would try to sit down and work with somebody and say, hey man, why are we fighting, or why are we fussing? Let's deal with this. But
that's the way we all should do.
Right, you know, let's deal with this. But I was a lot of people don't know, I was part of that 76, 75 that lawsuit that lasted during segregation, this desegregation lawsuit in the county. I was part of that. I lived maybe 20 steps to Francis K. Suite, but I got bused to Port St. Lucie Elementary. Back then, you know, like we thought it was our trip, but it really was, but on the bus. So, and my dad chose me to go down to Port St. Lucie. You know, because I remember the school board meeting, or I remember all the talking. It's like, I can't ask you to send your kids if I'm not going to send my kids. So I was the one. So I was the one. The funny story was, I remember that night, I guess he had made that decision in his head, but he didn't make that decision with my mom. My mom said, you asked me, could none of my kids go anywhere, so that was, you know, but it was me. So, but that changed my life in the positive, because I met other black kids from the area that I had never seen, but we met white kids that we were all looking at each other like, whatever. And that group all got together and said, hey man, we're gonna make this work. And to this day, my friends from that 3rd and 4th grade class in Port St. Lucie Elementary, we're still like this. They were some of the first ones when I decided to run. We got your support, what can we do? They call me now, you know, so, you know, Facebook friends, social media friends, we're just still close right now. So that changed everything about me, how I looked at like those 2 years.
I've learned that it's not the color of one's skin but the content of one's heart.
Correct.
And I learned that.
Right.
You know, I was a missionary to Haiti for almost 25 years, back and forth, doing the work of what your dad said in an earlier episode, that it was what I believe it was my calling.
Right.
And I was faithful to that calling. But I realized that everybody just about were brown, but those that were in higher positions look down their nose at those in lower positions, and they don't give them the opportunity.
Yeah.
You can have, in Haiti, you can have the highest of education and still be extremely poor because this group of people will not let you in.
Right.
So it really deals with the content of one's heart.
Right.
And I learned that through mission work.
And Dr. Mills, I understand that wholeheartedly, because growing up the way we did, and with my dad being on the school board and owning a frontal home, the assumption was we were, like you say, the upper class, the rich, whatever. And a lot of people didn't understand or don't understand how the funeral business works. If no one says goodbye or leaves here, there is no funerals.
That's right.
There is no money coming.
Right.
There is no money coming in. So a lot of times it was my mom's little salary from St. Lucie County School way back then. That was running things. So they taught us how to stretch a dollar, how to stretch a meal. And so, but saying that, even if it was true, I never carried myself like I was better than my neighbor.
And back then, people in the black community didn't have the money to pay properly a burial. So you had to do a lot of that. I'm sure your parents had to do a lot of that, kind of like pro bono type stuff.
It was a lot of bartering going on. A lot of bartering going on, and Dad would say, hey, pay when you can, but we're gonna make sure that your loved one is put away as you want to, and we pay. So you waiting on somebody to pay you, and you got kids to feed. I'll take it was a struggle, but they did it, and me and my brothers and sisters saw that. So and the one thing Dad told us that hey, you're a couple months. Don't ever look down on anybody, because you could be a couple months away. Somebody, you're out there looking up at somebody else. So keep that mentality. That's what.
When you say that, I think about kids out there that do not have both parents in the home, or may not even have their parents at all. Your dad, looking back in history, had grandparents who raised them.
Right.
So when I hear that, I hear that even though you may not have the solid foundation that you desire to have, I'm talking to young people here, and even those of you who grew up who may want to do things in life, but say, because I had this situation, I'm in this situation now. Know this, you can be the beginning of making a change in your family life, and be determined to be that person in their life, in your children's lives, in the future, to make sure that they have both parents in the home, because it makes a tremendous difference.
And Dr. Mills, I agree with that 100%, because my other passion in life is coaching youth.
Yes.
And for the last 12, 13 years, I've moved from the males to coaching females, because the program was going to die, and I just jumped in. And what you just said, I have that talk every day. You don't have to follow the pattern. This sport or your school or your singing or whatever can make you be the one to make the turn and let everybody follow. And what I do is, for all the older seniors and girls that I coach, I make them come back and coach and talk to the younger girls, and so the younger girls can see how they've changed and where they're going. So I say, you're always a role model. And I say, everywhere you go when you play for me, everywhere you go, you coach game player. So you got to remember that, because I'm gonna be looking at you and I'm gonna come see you. So that's where we are. So I agree with that 100%.
So let me ask you this question. How do you get through your challenges in life?
First thing, prayer meditation.
Got to tell it like it is.
prayer meditation. And there are challenges, and sometimes you got to step back and just say, you know what, I need a minute. And as the old folks say, go find your closet, go find your dark room somewhere. To me, I have a garden in the back of my house, and I go out there with my chair and just talk to the Lord and say, hey, okay, I know it's not me, or it could be me. Tell me if it's me. Tell me what to do. But prayer and meditation. And the other thing after that is, if I see something hard or very hard, I always know that I can't give up, because the people that came before me, including people like yourself, that came before me and made this path available for me. Not even talking about my ancestors that way back, that what all they went through, that we really don't know what they went through.
Oh, God.
And how they made it, but they never gave up. And people say, well, they didn't have a choice. Or they could have had a choice, but they never did, because they were trying to know and make it a better way from us. So I can never give up. And how I get through my challenges, I sit there and think about my great-grandfathers and his dad, and whatever they went through during those times, that the laws and rules wouldn't let them do too much, and they never gave up.
That's it.
So that's instilled to me, that I never give up. And one of the things that all my players know they can't say around me, the word can't is like a lap. So as soon as it come out their mouth, well, Coach, I can't, they just drop their stuff and start running, because I've made them. We're gonna take that out your vocabulary. You can do anything you want to do.
Yes, yes. Wow.
So.
Well, you mentioned people that's not way back in what they went through, but people right now, how we encourage one another by not quitting, not giving up, no matter what challenge comes, you know. And you have been such a blessing as a commissioner for Fort Pierce. Tell us about that. How did you make a decision? Why? You know, I know somebody in my life that I said, you should run. And not me, no way I'm running. And the person I'm saying, but you've done so much in this community. Why don't you run and represent? No politics. So tell me, I have my story. Tell me your story. How did you end up as a commissioner?
All right. I was always active in the community. Anything that was going on when Commissioner Alexander held the seat, or when Commissioner Sessions held the seat, you know, if they needed something, I was always active. And I said I coached, so I was always fighting for the kids. You know, why my field in the north side of town don't look like the field in the south side of town. You know, I got problems with it. So when, and I would never, me personally, I would never run against Commissioner Alexander or Commissioner Sessions. Might not agree with everything they did, but I wasn't going to be the one to run against them. That's just something that I said. So when Commissioner Alexander got sick, I went and talked to him, and I said, hey, you know, I call him Monk. People don't know that, but I said, hey, real question.
I could call your dad.
Yeah, I call him Monk. I said, hey, should I run? And he said, well, I'm gonna tell you no, because of everything that you don't know that I know. Then he said, but I know you're gonna run because I know how you feel about our city and the part of the city that you live and you're gonna represent. So me personally, as a commissioner, I'm gonna say no. But as a resident of District 1, you have my support. I need you to go do it. So that's the conversation I had with Commissioner Alexander. Parents from the league came to me and said, you know, go do it. We need you, because we know you're going to say whatever comes to your mind, and you know, you've been true out here. But I tell everybody, I must have got hit with a softball that night before I signed them papers, because you know, sometimes you just don't know until you sit in the seat, and I'm pretty sure you understand that. And I always thought that I could do more for my community sitting on the other side of the seat. But when I got in the seat, I know how wrong I was, because I really know what's going on now and really see what's going on now. So to answer your question, people ask me to do it, prayed on it. And people say, well, did he say yeah? I said, he didn't say yeah, but he didn't say no. So I took that as a yes, and I threw my name in, and you know, it's February now, so I'm in my second year of my first term. So, because I finished Commissioner Alexander's term, and then I'm in my second year of my first term, and I must have did something right to finish his term, because no one challenged me when we had to run again. So I just came back in. So I'm just doing the job I got to do.
So you ended up in life becoming a doctor, medical doctor?
It was I have a degree in research, medical research.
Medical research, and now an attorney.
Yes.
And now a commissioner.
Yes.
How did you press through the worst of times? Did I ask that question already?
Don't know, but there is a song, Dr. Mills, that came out by Reverend J. Moss back in 12 or 11, and it's called Good or Bad. And it was a song that came out and the song talks about how the Lord didn't turn his back during my good times when I was acting up. I mean, during my bad times when I was acting up.
Right.
And then during the good times, he didn't let me get the big head to do whatever. And that used to be my motivation song. I'm not a singer. My mom and dad are the singers. I'm not a singer, but I memorized it. And when I was having something, I would just start singing it to myself in my head. Just singing to myself in my head. And it's almost back to the meditation. So it's just something that I'm passionate about, Fort Pierce. I grew up in Fort Pierce. Fort Pierce made me who I am. And when I was away from Fort Pierce, the few years I was away, I just got tired of hearing all the negativity about Fort Pierce. And I said, if you ain't never been to Fort Pierce, don't tell me anything about Fort Pierce, because it's a lot of good things and positive people in Fort Pierce.
That's going on, yes.
Right, so.
Do you have a person that you think of who made a tremendous impact on your life as a kid to help propel you outside of your parents? And I know, before you go there, I know your mama.
Right, so mom is mom. So, and I tell this story. Even I put it even on my bio, and my website, and some other stuff. You know, for my mom was a mom. She worked, but she had breakfast on the table before she went to school. You know what I mean? She had cooked. She came home from teaching other people kids all day, and then had dinner. And then ran around with 3 kids to get me at some practice, my brother at some Boy Scout, and my sister her thing. And then she did everything she had to do and for my dad and her church and her and the stuff she did. So I looked at mom. That's the first thing. But for me, there was a lot of coaches. There was a lot of coaches that kind of kept their hands on me, or wasn't scared to take me on the other side of the field.
Male image.
Yeah, take me on the other side of the field and jack me up.
Yeah.
Coach, it is what it was back then, Doc. I'm just saying, but my generation needed it. So so you know, coaches
every generation needs
like
it.
wonderful moms. Harry Belafonte.
I'm sure he jacked you up a few times.
Many times. So you know the names I'm calling. So.
But they absolutely
because Ray playing with them, so
their children.
Right.
The children. You
right.
know?
So that's what they were. And then so that around here, the one teacher, because I looked at some of the questions, and the one teacher that sticks out to me is Jack Heilig. He was my biology teacher and my physiology teacher at Fort Pierce Central, and he passed recently. But Mr. Heilig, because mom put me in some of these advanced classes or whatever.
Yeah, well, I see why.
Right. And I didn't want to, but she did. And Mr. Heilig, I scored very low on one of his tests, and it wasn't because I didn't know the material. It's because I just ain't studying. I was trying to do something else. Probably run behind some girl back there in the high end. Okay. He called me to his office, and he said, "Look here, man." He said, "You the only black male I have in this class.
Wow.
This advanced class." And he said, "You will not have another score like this in my class. Do you understand?" I said, "Yes, Mr. Howard." And I got it. He ain't had to say anything else. I got it. So wow. that stuck to me. That stuck to me a long time.
That shows how much we need male representatives, black male representatives, coming back and talking to the children and being in the district, you know, because the kids need to look up and see and hear from these guys, and the women as well. Your mom, going back to your mom was so instrumental in our lives personally, because she cared so much for children. It reached our lives. And we didn't know your mom that well. I mean, I didn't. I'm from up north originally. I've been here so long. It's like I grew up in the South, over 40 years now. And this was during that time. And my daughter was in high school getting ready to take the SAT test at the time. Your mom, my daughter went to school sick with the flu this particular day when it was testing time. And she was so sick, and we pushed her as parents out. We said, you can't miss this test. Right. You gotta take this test. And she went and laid her head on the desk. I don't know if she fell asleep or what, but she didn't go up. She was in the classroom. And Miss Gaines noticed that Shanique Mills was not there. Right. And she went out to go get her and bring her to the testing site to take that exam. And as a result, my daughter, sick with the flu, but because of your mother, my daughter would have missed that day, scored in the 98th percentile in the country among black students.
That doesn't surprise me when you tell me that story.
Yeah, I'll never forget it.
That was my mom, and I run into people all the time now that, you know, even in other cities, man, your mom changed my life. Your mom was strict, but she was fair. She changed my life. And I tell this story all, and I told Dr. Prince, because he didn't know, because everybody knows of Dad and the school board. Everybody knows that. I say, but Dr. Prince, you need to talk to my mom, because my mom opened up Westwood. I said, my mom taught for 44 years, last two over the county, over the math, but this is what you don't know. After she retired from Fort Pierce Westwood, she tutored for about 20 years at her kitchen table. Students and a lot of teachers that are still teaching now got their certification because they sat at my mama's kitchen table. She fed them and taught them.
Yeah, my daughter's testimony of your mom is that, because my daughter struggled with the math. Right. She was excellent in the reading area, but the math, she struggled until she came to your mom's classroom and became her student. She said, Miss Gaines made math easy to understand. And there's one thing to be able to know it yourself, it's another thing to be able to teach it. Your mom was a great teacher. And we appreciate her.
Appreciate it.
My gosh, we've got like 30 seconds left, and I had some other questions here, but it's been such a unique and wonderful interview.
Thank you.
And I do truly appreciate you, because you're always willing to step out when someone asks you to do something, and I see you all around doing, you're there. And that's what our community needs and needs to see. So again, we're out of time, but we definitely have to have you guys back, you know. And Mama, we want Mama too.
I'll work on that.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Gaines. We appreciate your coming. And thank you for coming on the Speakers Bureau today with us and being one with us in Commissioner Arnold Gaines' story. I know he encouraged me. I hope he encourages you as well as you walk through your life. Stay focused. It's like a camera. Keep your focus on what you want to do, and you'll be able to do it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.